I drew my gun. "You cover Jada," I whispered to Zin when Tank, my backup, joined us. "Count of 3, I added, motioning for him to bust through the door. When it broke from the hinges, Jada screamed. "Freeze!" I shouted, my gun leveled directly at the man standing near the rear of the room. "Hands in the air!" What did the bloody bastard do instead of following my directives? First, the cowardly son of a bitch moved behind Jada, using her as a shield. Then, just as Zin grabbed her and whisked her out of the room, the man reached for his gun. I fired first. When he hit the ground, I rushed forward. "Where's the weapon?" Tank knelt to secure it while I checked for a pulse. "He reached to his right," I said, picturing it in my mind as though I was still in the moment. "He's alive." I breathed a sigh of relief. The presence of a pulse meant that when he regained consciousness, we might be able to turn him. Get him to lead us to whomever he worked for in return for a lesser charge against him. "There's no gun. No weapon of any kind," I heard Tank say as I called for an ambulance. "Sorry, what did you say?" "He was unarmed, Jaicon."
1. Tryst. 1 year ago.
"Tryst, this is Jaicon Hart, codename Essentia,"
said Cade Butler, a man I'd known most of my life. A cool autumn breeze swept across the meadow where we stood, but when my hand met hers in greeting, warmth flowed from the top of my head to my toes. Staring into the depths of her violet blue eyes, the color of the cornflowers that used to grow in the gardens of my home in California, something stirred inside me I never thought would again.
"Most people call me Jacy,"
she said. "I am Tryst Avila. Welcome to Mexico and to El Lugar de Coración."
"It's so beautiful here."
Jacy looked down at her hand, still between both of mine.
"It's the healing place, yes?"
As much as I wanted to feel her touch a few moments longer, I let go. "Do you speak Spanish?"
"Jaicon speaks several languages,"
bragged Merrigan, Cade's wife and the managing partner of the private security and intelligence firm they owned. Even as she and I cheek-kissed, I didn't take my eyes off the woman whose aura captivated me. The woman who had to be half my age. I would have said younger, but that she worked for my 2 friends meant she had to be older than I might have initially guessed.
"JC will be assisting with the reunification process when the trafficking victims arrive later today. I can't thank you enough, Tryst, for allowing us to use your ranch to bring these families back together."
"Ditto,"
said Cade, putting his arm around his wife.
"What these people went through is horrifying and heartbreaking."
The men, women, and children Cade spoke of had been abducted by human traffickers and loaded into shipping containers bound for the UK. Cade and Merrigan's firm, K-19 Security Solutions, was responsible for their rescue once the ship the containers were on landed in the port of Felixstowe, outside of London. "It's a small thing compared to what you and your team have done," I said, glancing at my 2 friends, then at Jaicon. "May I show you to your casita?" I asked. She looked over at her employers.
"Go ahead,"
said Cade.
"We'll find our own way,"
he added, nudging me with his elbow. I motioned to a golf cart a short distance from where we stood. My eyes drifted downward from her long wavy blonde hair that, even swept up in a ponytail, touched the small of her back, to the sway of her hips as she walked in front of me. She was dressed simply in a pair of bottom-hugging jeans, a loose-fitting white t-shirt, and cowboy boots, yet, on her, it was sexy. I ran my hand through my beard, trying to recall the last time I'd had a similar thought about a woman. It had been years, not since before my beloved wife, Rosa, was diagnosed with cancer 14 years ago. She'd been gone 10. Had it truly been that long since I felt desire? Thinking about my wife should have quelled my reaction to Jaicon. But once I sat beside her on the bench seat of the golf cart, I found myself wanting to lean closer.